guys, Daniel from Video Game Book Club here. Here's a list of games that I've played more times than I can probably count. Lunar Silver Star Story Complete, most early Final Fantasies, Link to the Past, Super Mario World, and of course, today's game, Link's Awakening. I had actually never played the DX version until now, so the Game Boy Color editions were new to me. I, however, had played this one a lot. In fact, I loved this game so much growing up that freshman year of high school, I actually wrote my own guide. No one had introduced me to GameFAQs.com yet, and no one told me how many seashells there were, so I just had to keep digging, and digging, and digging. This isn't so much a review as it is a love letter to Nintendo. How can I begin to review a game that was so perfect for its time and stuck with me like so few games have over the years? I mean, look at that opening. This isn't just any Link, this is the same Link from Link to the Past. The Zelda game that defines what Zelda is for me. Link's Awakening takes that formula, expands it, and in some ways does an even better job. This video will of course contain massive spoilers for Link's Awakening, and although I'm playing the 1998 updated Game Boy Color version, the story is the same as the original 93 version that I grew up playing and loving. Originally envisioned as a port of the 1991 release of Link to the Past, the development quickly changed to a new and unique entry into the series. Several Zelda mainstays are nowhere to be seen in Link's Awakening. Instead of Hyrule, the game takes place on Koholint Island. Replacing Princess Zelda as your female counterpart is Marin, a local singer. Instead of searching for the Triforce, Link must gather the 8 siren instruments to wake the Windfish. You will run across a Yoshi doll, a helpful chain chomp named Bow Wow, and even deliver a long-distance love letter where a goat named Christine is trying to catfish an unexpected Mr. Right by using a picture of Princess Peach. Oh wait, I just got that. Mr. Right. He's Christine's Mr. Right, and he also likes to write. The game came out in 1993, and I just got that joke. These little touches add a little bit of whimsy to a game that actually has a fairly depressing story. Before there was a Majora's Mask and we all went through the same 3 depressing days with Child Link, we were given a Link that must decide if finishing his quest and returning to Hyrule is reason enough to possibly end an entire island's existence. You first awaken the house of Marin and Terran, 2 of the island's residents. Link has been marooned by a storm while on a celebratory sailing trip after defeating Ganon in A Link to the Past. Well, actually that's just what I always thought the story was. Apparently, he has actually been training abroad after defeating Ganon in A Link to the Past, which has since been changed to include the adventures you can experience in Oracle of Ages and Seasons, which are also excellent games. Like I said earlier, Marin fills the typical role of Zelda to a point, and Terran, well, Terran looks like Mario. Also, Terran found your shield. Can you guess how he knows it's your shield? Because just like Marty McFly's underwear, your shield has your name on it. You now gain control of Link, just a boy in a shield, well, until you explore the beach and find your sword. This is where the game really begins. You can now begin to traverse through the dungeons the Zelda series is so famous for. There are 8 storyline dungeons in Link's Awakening, as well as an extra bonus dungeon, creatively called the Color Dungeon, that, yep, you guessed it, it uses the color features of the Game Boy Color, or your lucky Game Boy player for your GameCube. Color. Lots of colors. One really neat feature of Link's Awakening is the actual dungeon layouts match what their name is. So the Key Dungeons map takes the shape of a key. The Bottle Dungeon takes the shape of a bottle. And Turtle Rock liberally calls itself a turtle. In each dungeon, along with the normal keys, map, compass, and boss key called a Nightmare Key in this iteration, you also find a stone beak or slab, depending on which version you're playing. The stone tablets that give hints in dungeons once you find the stone slab in the original version are transformed into the owl reliefs to match that persistent owl of Ocarina of Time fame in the DX release. But wait, who's this? Yes, that's right, that obnoxious know-it-all owl from Ocarina of Time actually originates in Link's Awakening. Ever so often, actually very often, this owl will swoop down out of nowhere to tell you some scrumptious story point or hint on how to continue your adventure. Other than loving this game with a passion, the main reason I felt compelled to play this game right now is my not so recent playthrough of Final Fantasy Adventure. Link's Awakening and really most handheld Zelda games have the same type of combat found in Final Fantasy Adventure. Not to make it sound like Link's Awakening ripped it off, seeing as Zelda combat was fairly standard for many years, but the similarities really gave me that itch to play Link's Awakening again. The fighting mechanics in Link's Awakening are super tight compared to Final Fantasy Adventure, and feel much more rewarding. Where in Adventure, taking hits was a guarantee due to the clunkier movement style, in Link's Awakening, Link controls much smoother, and enemies as well as projectiles are much easier to avoid. While going to the menu is a given to change out items due to the 2-button limit, your options are much more streamlined in Link's Awakening, and you don't have to dig through a bunch of clunky sub-menus. After several dungeons and meeting a whole cast of new friends, you'll stumble upon some ruins that include a relief that finally confirms the fears that some characters, and even the nightmares you fought, have hinted at. The entire island and its inhabitants are but figments of the Windfish's dreams. If you tackle the remaining nightmares and take the rest of the siren instruments to wake the Windfish, Marin, Terran, and all the other people you've come across will cease to exist. Well, after you go into the Windfish's egg and fight the final boss. This fight is actually pretty cool, even though it's a little too easy. The final nightmare has several forms, including a shadow version of Agamemnon, the wizard from Link to the Past, and even Ganon. You'll finish up the fight against his final form, Deathel, a weird eye thing that has 2 rotating arms that you can jump over with the Rock's Feather. Speaking of the Rock's Feather, Link's Awakening has a couple of items that make a first appearance and sometimes last in the Game Boy spin-off. The Rock Feather, which is obtained in the first dungeon, gives Link the ability to jump, which can help solve puzzles and get to hard to reach places, and kinda break the game in a couple of places as well. Guardian Acorns, which are a temporary power-up, half all damage for a certain amount of hits. Another temporary power-up, the Piece of Power, doubles your attack and makes enemies violently explode. And of course, this is also the first time the flute gets called the Ocarina, because we all knew it was the Ocarina in Link to the Past after we played Ocarina of Time, but in Link's Awakening is the first time that the flute is actually called an Ocarina. So I'm going to count it as a first. There's even a collection side quest for secret seashells. 26 are hidden throughout the island and can be found in bushes, under the soil when you dig with your shovel, and in chests. On top of that, you have an item trading quest, which is where the Yoshi doll I mentioned earlier comes in. Complete this quest and you'll eventually get the magnifying lens, which will let you see a previously invisible character who will trade you any item in your inventory for the boomerang. Just finish the seashell quest and trade the shovel. It's useless at that point. New to the DX version is a photo side quest as well. Unfortunately, a third of the photos are time sensitive to a particular part of the game, so I'm not going to blame you if you look at a guide if you don't blame me that I did. The color dungeon is a real waste of an extra, as it is way too easy, and the new colored tunic you can choose, blue for half damage and red for double power, make everything after obtaining them even easier. Also, while the color in most of the game ranges from good to unobtrusive, the final dungeon, Turtle Rock, really stinks up the place. I mean, look at it. Look at it. It's so bad. It's just all red. The automatic color assignment was better in Final Fantasy Adventure on my Super Game Boy than the programmed on purpose color in Turtle Rock. Someone actually looked at that and said, yeah, that's a good job. Well done, team. Anyway, now you've completed all 8 dungeons, as well as the sad excuse for a bonus dungeon, completed all the side quests, and defeated Deathel, the game's final nightmare. The Windfish awaits. And man, did they gaudy him up for the DX release. I mean, yeah, it's a giant whale with wings, but they have to go out of their way to use every color possible on his art. With the Windfish awaken, Coaland Island disappears, and the Windfish flies away, as Windfishes tend to do, while Link floats on his raft. If you complete the game like I did, without any deaths, you even get a nice full-color portrait of Marin when Link gazes into the sky and sees some seagulls, which is a throwback to a previous conversation the two had at the beach. I loved my time with this game for the millionth time. It is a great Zelda entry and a great handheld entry. It took me about 14 to 15 hours to play through it, so it's definitely worth the price of admission. If you like this video, like and subscribe below if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time on Video Game Book Club. Thanks for watching our video. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we know you all are busy, and we love that you've taken time to hang out with us for a little while.
While you're here, why don't you check out some of our other videos we've made? You kinda owe us now.
And we have a website that you can browse through too, if you want to.
You can also check us out on Twitter and Facebook. All those links are right here, so it's easy.
If you want to see more stuff from us, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, and also leave this video a big thumbs up. That would be super awesome. Well, until next time, take care everyone.